I felt really honored that I get to evaluate Greg. I told him I was a little intimidated. So Greg gave a speech today out of the Humorous Speaking Advanced Manual. And your goal today was to make sure you were an effective storyteller. Make sure you entertain, you keep us engaged. You wanted to make sure that the length of the speeches were appropriate, and there was to be a story, a middle part which is a bit more serious, and then an ending story. So I would say from those objectives, job well done. I'm not going to spend a lot of time there today because I think you did a really great job managing time in the speech. I thought the length of the stories was very appropriate, very edited, kept everybody's attention. I looked around, people were engaged. So I want to spend more time today talking about you as a storyteller. And when we talked last night, we said this is really kind of where you're trying to take your speaking to the next level. And for anybody that's new or a guest, Greg is an accomplished speaker. And I'm going to give you some tips today, but it's really about rounding out the edges, I would say, and not trying to fix kind of major flaws or improvements in your speaking style. Breathing and pausing is going to be your friend when you tell stories. And when you're giving a story that doesn't have a big punchline, but more is conversational dialogue, you need to take a step back and pause at certain points. And what I came up with was pausing anytime a reaction is anticipated. So you made gazpacho, which is disgusting. I don't even know why I make gazpacho. It's salsa.
I found that out.
You should have called me. I would have told you. Take a better soup. Blend it up, get it in the refrigerator, get up the next morning, take a bite, breathe, pause. Yuck. This is gross. That's an opportunity to pause. Another one would have been, friend calls up, hey, let's do an eating competition. Tell me more. Right? Just that little bit of pause, that little bit of facial expression, that little bit of body language. Tell me more. Because guys are weird and they do eating competitions. I didn't get that one. The ending. Finally, an honest victory. I wanted a little bit more. And I'm not an overly dramatic person. I don't know that you're an overly dramatic person, but it just needed a little, finally, an honest victory. So that's the finesse I would put on the storytelling that you're doing. Your language was very appropriate. We talked about this. Want your language to be appropriate. Here's what I'll say about the language you used today. There was a lot of cliches. There was a lot of common phrases. And what I found myself questioning is that Greg's natural language? Does Greg really talk like that when he talks in everyday life? I saw Danny O'Neill speak yesterday, and he is the founder of the Roastery. Now, this guy is not a polished speaker, but he was super engaging. He said probably 15 cuss words when he was up there. Which I appreciated because I felt like I was really talking to Danny O'Neill. And so if I'm hearing a story from Greg or I'm talking with Greg, I want to feel like I'm really talking to Greg and not talking to a script that Greg thinks he should be giving. So those are the two things I would focus on. Otherwise, it was fantastic. So thank you for making my job.
Our next evaluator